Are you ready on the right?
We're ready over here.
Okay. Good evening. I think we're recording, correct? Okay. I'd like to call to order the City of Leawood Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for August 23rd, 2023. Could I have a roll call, please?
Members Munson. Dunn.
Here.
Dr. Peppas.
Here.
Clausen.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Farrington.
Here.
Bussing.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. The first case we have this evening is an old business case, and that case is case 37-2023. Victoria Miles, Christopher Miles owner. This is a request for a variance to the build line for the placement of a fence on a corner lot in accordance with LDO section 16-4-9.3A in an R1 district for a property commonly known as 8225 Winonga Road. The staff have a report, please.
The property owner would like to replace an aging fence that has been in the current location for over 2 decades. At its closest point, the existing fence is 11 feet from the south property line. Therefore, a variance for 19 feet is requested.
Are there questions for staff by the board?
Mr. Chair, can I, Wade, so they weren't able to tie on to where the culvert fence is?
Correct. And actually, this is an ongoing issue. They're in the process. The city actually owns that property, and the board couldn't grant a variance on someone else's property. So the city is vacating that easement, so they will own it and be able to replace the fence. Part of the fence is on their property, and part of it is on the city's property. But it will not go all the way and tie in to that fence you're talking about.
Because that's city
It's just
property.
a guardrail for that culvert.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
Can you put up the plan, the plan view with the picture? I have a question. No, the one with the red and the black line. Yes. So is the black the existing fence that is needing to be replaced?
That is the existing fence, correct? Yep.
And then the red line is the variance.
The red line is actually where they could put a fence legally. The black line on the outside is where they want to put it. That's where the fence currently is, and they just want to replace it in the same location.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
So the variance is that part on the south side?
Yes, that's the only place.
Thank you.
That portion in the black is what would be affected.
Okay. Other questions? Is the applicant here? You may come to the lectern, give us your name and address, and present your case.
Christopher Miles, 8225 Winonga Road. This is my first rodeo with one of these, so forgive me. I've reviewed the staff's comments and recommendations, and I'm happy to answer any questions to the extent that the board feels that we need some more color.
Well, let me just ask what happens in these cases, uniqueness and hardship are the difficult factors. The staff has summarized your statement with respect to uniqueness, that because the majority of unstable fence space is located in the side yard and over half of the rear yard is taken up by the Dyke Branch Creek, is making it unique. Do you have anything to add to that as far as uniqueness goes?
No, not with respect to that factor.
Okay.
With respect to the one thing I think in sub E that was not fleshed out is that my understanding of the ordinance is that it's a visibility issue, and the way, if some of you may know, that as you are going, if you're going east on 83rd, right around where Woononga is, it's a slope. And so if you are, for example, taking a left onto 83rd going east, the elevation difference just in that short space between my yard and the street is such that visibility is not an issue where the fence currently exists. And so we're just looking to replace it.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for the applicant?
Mr. Miles, is this, the current fence is a vinyl chain link, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And is there another fence, an enclosed fence within the backyard, like a kennel or something?
No.
Okay. And you're going to replace it with another vinyl
Wood fence,
wood fence? Okay.
which we think is more in keeping with the new road.
As Mr. Dunn said, this is a variance. So we have to evaluate the 5 factors. And we have to go through each factor, and we have to vote on each one, and we have to vote in the affirmative on each one to support a motion for approval. And as he said, uniqueness is an issue that is many times one we have to deal with, especially. I think your lot here obviously does have some very unique features. And again, hardship is another one we have to deal with. And obviously, if you had to conform to the requirements of the LDO, your fence location would be restricted. And of course, you've got existing landscaping that would be affected if you had to move it, I presume, right?
That's correct. And candidly, if the variance isn't granted, we won't do anything. Yeah, no, the fence is where it is. So that, I don't know if that is helpful at all.
Okay. Are there any other questions for the applicant?
Not for me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Is anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this application? If not, then the board will evaluate the 5 factors, which will determine if we support a motion for approval or denial. So the first factor is uniqueness of the property.
Well, Mr. Chairman, as our information states, over half of the rear yard is taken up by the Dyke Branch Creek. I don't know too many yards that have that feature in them. It seems like it's unique to me.
Other comments? All those who feel the uniqueness criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The second factor is rights of adjacent property owners. Letters were mailed, I presume.
Yes, sir. No calls or complaints have been received.
No calls. In that case, all those who feel the second factor, rights of adjacent property owners criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We have voted unanimously on the second factor. And third is hardship.
Mr. Chairman, let me talk about the hardship. We'd already mentioned about Dyke's Branch being in its backyard. And if anyone has gone by there and seen, it's really pretty steep also. So if we made him put it in the areas of where it was supposed to be, he'd have a fence on a steep grade that would really do no good for what he wants to enclose the backyard. So in a situation like this, where we've got actual areas that just won't work, I think hardship's been met.
Other comments? All those who feel that the hardship criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The fourth is public safety and general welfare.
Mr. Chairman, I'll speak on public safety and general welfare. So staff had mentioned that it sits on the corner of a busy 83rd Street in Woononga. The fence has been in an existing place for the last 2 decades. So keeping it in this location, it's not going to change. It keeps the public safety, general welfare in place, it being on that busy road and the slope, so it meets that criteria.
Thank you. All those who feel that the fourth factor, public safety and general welfare criterion, has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the fifth factor is spirit and intent. Discussion by the board.
Mr. Chairman, I think the spirit and intent has been met because the fence that they're going to replace it with is going to be more in tune of what's around them already.
Other comments? All those who feel that the spirit and intent criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The board has evaluated all 5 of the factors, and we have voted in the affirmative on all 5. Therefore, we can support a motion for approval in this case.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve case 37-20238225 Winonga Road, a request for a variance to the build line for the placement of a fence on a corner lot in accordance with the LDO section 16-4-9.3, parent A, parent in an R1 district.
Second.
We have a motion for approval in case 37-2023 and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. You'll be officially notified in writing by the city. The next case is a new business case. This is case 46-2023. This is a fence request for a fence height exception by Tyler Billington. This is a request in accordance with LDO section 16-4-9.4 in an R1 district for a property commonly known as 4104 West 129th Street. Does staff have a report, please?
The applicant would like to replace the existing 6-foot-tall cedar privacy fence in the same location using the same materials. It appears the fence has been in place since at least 1996.
So this is an exception because they
6 feet.
previously haven't gone before the board for approval, right?
Correct, yeah. It was probably built with the home. I don't have a building permit for the fence, so I would imagine it was built at the same time.
Okay. Any questions for staff?
No.
Is the applicant here? You may come to the lectern and give us your name and address and present your case.
Hey, I'm Tyler Billington. I live at 4104 West 129th Street. We bought the house in November of 21, and we love it. We love our backyard. It's, as you can tell, it's really wide. And we spend a lot of time back there. I have 2 boys, 3 years old and 5 years old, and it's just a safety hazard, really. And, speaking with a lot of the neighbors, it's also pretty ugly. A lot of the boards are different colors. The neighbor that lives directly behind me is Scott Gilroy, and our houses are kind of close together. So we talked about a 4-foot fence, considering that as it would be easier. But our houses are pretty close, and we don't want to see each other as we're eating with our families and stuff. And it's just sort of a safety concern. Like the other day, my 3-year-old threw a ball on the other side of the fence, and he could just push a board down, scoot through, and he got his ball and came back. But also, if it's a storm or windy, a different board will be laying down, and my dog will get through and stuff. So it's just kind of a hassle. We really enjoy our house and our backyard, but hoping to replace the 6-foot fence with another 6-foot fence, same materials, same location, everything. We got several bids to do it, of course, and we just want to do it the right way, and that's really it. My neighbor's here supporting me.
I guess this figure doesn't show the extent of the fence, though. I presume it meets all the requirements.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this application? You may come to the lectern. And give us your, give us your name.
I actually have a little bit of a hard time hearing, so I'm not sure if I caught everything.
Give us your name and address.
My name is Sarah Tobin, and I'm at 4141 West 128th Terrace.
Okay.
And what I'm not catching is why is the fence at 6 feet tall at this point? Did it get approved for some reason earlier to be 6 feet? So if we're at 4 feet with our fences now, is that correct? It's 6 feet wanting to be replaced for 6 feet?
Correct, yeah, he has a 6-foot tall fence now, and he just wants to replace with the same, in the
Okay.
same location.
So the question I have is, how did it get to be 6 feet? Is there like a swimming pool in there, or is there some reason that had met an exception earlier?
The fence was probably built with the home. Right now, it's considered legal non-conforming. There's no history of a permit for the fence ever being pulled, so there's a good chance it was built with the home.
Okay.
And
And
that-
at some point got approved like
Correct.
30 years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. And so it's just going to be replaced with the same?
Yes, ma'am.
And it meets every variation, is set back far enough? and-
Yeah, all the setbacks meet the criteria.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Anyone else to speak? Thank you. there
Mr.
a
Chairman, in case 46-2023, 4104 West 129th Street, a request for a fence height exception in accordance with the LDO section 16-4-9.4 in an R1 district. I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, okay, who seconded?
Second.
We have a motion for approval in case 46-2023 and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. You'll be officially notified in writing to the city. The next case for this evening is case 47-2023, Amanda Roden, owner. This is a request for a variance to the build line for the placement of a fence on a through lot in accordance with LDO section 16-4-9.3D in an R1 district for a property commonly known as 11008 Alhambra Street. The staff have a report.
The applicant needs to replace the existing 6-foot-tall wooden privacy fence. At its closest point, the fence on the rear property line. A variance for 30 feet is needed to replace the new fence in the same location.
Are there any questions for staff?
And just to add, we do have a permit for the fence that was issued in 1980, but at the same time the pool was built. So things have changed since then with the zoning and this being considered a through lot.
And there is a pool there now presently?
Yes, sir.
So you're saying it was approved and when it was built?
Correct, yeah, 1980.
Are there other questions for staff? So if they would have to move the fence, they would have, so they have to have a variance of 30 feet?
They have to have the variance to replace it where the fence is currently at. If they had to move it in, yeah, it would be moved up close to the evergreens you see on the south side of the pool.
Okay, I see. Any other questions for staff? Is the applicant here? You may give us your name and address and present your case.
I'm Patrick Riley. My address is 11008 Alhambra Street. Amanda Roden's my wife. So When we had the survey done, the fence for 30 feet would actually be in the middle of the pool, which we just can't do. We actually don't want to keep it. We want to actually, on the top side of that picture, the fence is closer to the road. We want to marry up with that fence and then just go straight down. So we'll gain a couple feet towards the street, but we still need a variance for it. And there won't be a weird difference in fences, is what we're trying to do.
I see. Yeah, I can see that if you had to meet the requirements of the LDO, it would affect quite a few things. You have a
Yes.
pool, so you need a 6-foot fence.
Correct, and that's what we'll be having.
As in the previous variance we had, we talked about uniqueness and hardship. Could you address those briefly?
Hardship would be the pool and the fence going right through the pool. Uniqueness, I think uniqueness is both our neighbors actually have fences that are closer to the street, and they both got variances. So I think uniqueness is since both of them have that variance, we would just be meeting up with them.
Okay. And letters went out to,
Yes, sir, everyone was notified, no calls or complaints.
Just Wade, just for clarity, when this was built, it was conforming because it was before our Leawood ordinance changed, changing the setback requirements, correct?
Not the setback, it wasn't considered a through lot at the
I see.
time, so
Okay.
it was just approved. They probably would have been allowed to put it on the property line, but they did move it in when it was constructed.
Thank you.
That was going to be my question, Wade. You said there was a permit issued. Was the fence built according to what the permit allowed?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. The pool and the fence were built at the same time in 1980.
This is Travis Torres, Director of Building and Codes. It used to be permissible on a through lot to build the fence all the way to the property line on a through lot. So this was legal at the time it was built.
Thank you.
Yep.
in light of that, I'm surprised that he needs a variance, frankly.
Yeah, since he wants to replace the fence, he's got to come into today's standards.
I understand. Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this application? You may come to the lectern and give us your name and address.
Michael Riley, 11013 Alhambra. I'm his neighbor on the east. I'd like to see his fence evened up with the other two fences. And we had a variance several years ago that allowed us to move it closer to College Boulevard when we put in the fence on the east side, or the south side of the home. So I'd encourage you to approve it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, this is a variance, so we have to go through the 5 factors. The first is uniqueness to property.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the fact that this was permitted, approved, and legal when it was built, and now it's not, makes it kind of unique, in my opinion.
Other comments?
And we do also have a pool, which necessitates a 6-foot fence.
They have to have a 6-foot fence, right. In light of that, all those who feel the uniqueness criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Rights of adjacent property owners is the second.
Mr. Chairman, I'll speak on that. There's been no complaints, and neighbors stood up and it was in support of this, so it meets the rights of adjacent property owners.
All those who feel that the second factor, rights of adjacent property owners, has been met, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We voted in the affirmative on the second factor. And third is hardship.
Mr. Chairman, once again, this is a through lot, and it's been the history that with through lots that typically if the property, if the fence line was placed where it's supposed to be, it usually is through structures and swimming pools and et cetera, as we see it here. So I feel and plus, it's been there since 1980. So I feel the hardship's been met.
All those who feel the hardship criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. We voted in the affirmative on the third factor. And fourth is public safety and general welfare.
Mr. Chairman, the home does back up to College Boulevard, which has considerable traffic, and the neighbors also have fences along the same line, so I think certainly fits our criteria.
All those who feel that the fourth factor, public safety and general welfare criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We agreed on the fourth factor. And last is spirit and intent.
Well, Mr. Chairman, since the intent of the ordinance is to maintain the character of the neighborhood, and a fence in that location has been the character of the neighborhood for decades, I can't imagine how it would violate it at this point.
Other comments? All those who feel the spirit and intent criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We have voted on all five factors and voted in the affirmative on all five factors. Therefore, we can support a motion for approval in this case. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, in case 47-2023, 11008 Alhambra, request for a variance to the rear build line for the placement of a fence on a through lot in accordance with the LDO section 16.4-9.3D in an R1 district. I move approval.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion for approval in case 47-2023 and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. You'll be officially notified in writing by the city. The next two cases are by the same owner, but we'll address the first one, case 48-2023. John Black, owner, requests for a variance to the rear build line for the placement of a fence on a through lot in accordance with LDO section 16-4-9.3D in an R1 district for a property commonly known as 12916 Howell Drive. The staff have a report, please.
The applicant needs to replace an aging fence that was constructed in 2000. At its closest point, the current fence is 20 feet from the west property line. A variance for 10 feet is needed to replace the new fence in the same location.
So another aging fence variance.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for staff? We see pictures of the fence there. Yeah, it could stand to be replaced. You have a plan view, Wade, that shows the fence location relative to the lot. I didn't see one in the packet. Okay.
The black line is where the fence is.
And other fences are consistent, have a consistent location too?
Yes, sir. Everything to the north.
And Stu Sharp's property's on the south, right?
Correct, yeah. And he, if you're familiar with it, he's got a barbed wire fence because he's zoned ag.
It's zoned ag, right? Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions for staff? Is the applicant here? You may give us your name and present your case.
Yeah, John Black, 12916 Howe Drive. And so as you can see here on the north, I've got my neighbor right here. On the south, not Stu, but 12920 is Tom Golding. He's
Please,
here as well.
I'm sorry, please speak into the mic because
Oh, sorry.
they're trying to record this.
Okay, sorry about that. And then to the east, you can see I've got a cul-de-sac, so there's nobody facing me to the east, and then to the west is Mission Road. All of the fences to the north are all, and I'll kind of speak to the variance and the exception together, if that's okay, as far as my comments, are all consistent. The other thing is 3 of the 4 neighbors to the north have 6-foot fences already, so that's the exception part of it, right? But just to give you a little bit of additional information that is not necessarily in those comments, I actually have some notes here. So a couple things. I'm a widower. My wife passed away from colon cancer a couple years ago, and I'm a single parent. I have 2 daughters. I'm away from home a lot because I travel, and so their safety is paramount. We used to have a lot of privacy along Mission. We had a lot of trees, but they've died and they've been taken down by my subdivision, Waterford. And we also used to have a really big tree back there around a fire pit. And unfortunately, it had the ash borer in it, so we had to remove it, and it provided a ton of privacy, and so we have no privacy. And I actually brought in about 20 pictures. I don't know if you want to show other pictures, but I can certainly show those.
John, yeah, every picture you brought in is in the packet, and so is.
So they've seen them?
And they have.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Okay, all right. So we virtually have no privacy whatsoever. And with the Mission Road improvements, which is awesome, very concerned that there's going to be increased traffic. There's going to be a bike path, I guess, going through there, and then there's going to be a lot more walkers and whatnot. And so the privacy issue is even a bigger issue. And then we also have recently made a significant investment into our property, which you can see some of those pictures. We did a 3 seasons room. The patio is higher than, you can see. So the patio is quite a bit higher than it was before because there wasn't a patio there. And so it's been raised, I don't know, 18 inches or whatever. And so when people are walking on Mission, they will literally stop right there and gawk to see what's going on. And then we also have some loungers on the other side. And my 2 daughters like to sunbathe. And so again, people will stop and gawk and look at my daughters. So I don't really like that aspect of it. So that's why I'm looking for additional privacy and safety. As you can see, there's the loungers. And then, let's see. As far as the variance goes, we already had a permit, which I didn't do the permit back in 2000. We bought the house in 2002, I think, is when it was. So we've been there for 21 years. But there was a permit that was granted for the location of it because it actually is, I guess, doesn't meet, it needs a variance, right? So, for me to put it in a different location is not going to line up with all of my neighbors, if that makes sense. So we're just trying to keep things consistent. And then also had 7 of my adjacent neighbors email approval for the 6-foot fence. I don't know if you guys saw all that or not. And like we had mentioned, the neighbor to the south is Farmer Stu, and so he can't even see my house because of the barns and all that other good stuff. And then we also have 2 dogs, and so I think that it would be in my best interest if we had the additional height for the fence as well. Yeah?
Good, that's good. So do you have any information on when the on a previous permit for this?
2000. It was issued in 2000, yeah, for the
It was
location, yeah, for a 4-foot, yeah.
Prior to the through lot
Correct.
ordinance? Okay, all right. So very similar to the previous case? Yep. Okay. Any questions, other questions for the applicant? Thank you. Is anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this application? Please give us your name and address. And
It's Colin Rowan. I'm at 12912 Howe Drive. I'm directly to the north of John, and I've lived in the property for nearly 13 years now. I've seen the changes that John has done to the exterior, and certainly the loss of privacy he's endured over the last number of months, and if not a year, has certainly had a huge impact on him in terms of just being able to peaceably enjoy his property. And I see also from my property backing out onto Mission as well, the increase in traffic certainly having an impact if he isn't able to, guarantee that extra height as well. So I mean, I will say for John that he has worked very hard with Tom and myself and other neighbours to consult with us on this and make sure that we're 100% on board. And the extra height will certainly add to the consistency and Mission as well after it's done also. So,
good, thank you.
my input. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Please give us your name and address.
Tom Golden, I'm to the south at 12920 Howe Drive. And I can appreciate John's position with some of the foliage right behind that. The way my house is positioned, I have no coverage to the south of Mission because of the road, or the farm that backs up. So even that little piece that if he goes up to 6 foot would probably even help me out. And to reiterate, there's 6 foot fence all up and down, the Mission, and I think the improvement, just a new fence will be great. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, then we will have to evaluate the 5 factors. First is uniqueness of the property.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just reiterate my comments from the last case. I think this is exactly the same. It has a fence in the exact location he wants to put it in that was legally permitted at the time, and I don't know if that's strictly unique, but I think it qualifies for our purposes.
Other comments? Others who feel that the uniqueness criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The second factor is rights of adjacent property owners. We've had our property owners here speaking in favor of this, and letters have been sent out.
Correct, all the letters were sent out, no complaints, and you have several emails in your packet that was sent to me. All the neighbors and Colm and everyone who sent a letter in, Stu Sharp sent a letter in. They were definitely for the request, but no complaints.
In light of that, all those who feel that the rights of adjacent property owners criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We agree on the second factor. And third is hardship.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to reiterate also from the case before, we're dealing with a through lot once again, and Mission, instead of state line, Mission Road, and I feel the hardship's been met, and it also will tie in with the ones that are already there with the neighbors.
Other comments? All those who feel that the hardship criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We have agreed on the third factor. The fourth is public safety and general welfare.
Mr. Chairman, I'll speak on public safety and general welfare. Approving the fence in the same location where it's been over the last 2 decades will keep the safety and privacy for the applicant's family.
Other comments? All those who feel that the public safety and general welfare criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We have agreed on the fourth factor, and last is spirit and intent.
Mr. Chairman, I'll speak to spirit and intent. I think approval of this request will continue the spirit and intent that has been in place already for 2 decades.
Any other comments? All those who feel that the spirit and intent criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We have voted on all 5 factors and voted in the affirmative on all 5. Therefore, we can support a motion for approval in this case.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve case 48-2023-12916 Howell Drive, a request for variance to the rear build line for the placement of a fence on a through lot in accordance with LDO section 16-4-9.3, parent D, in a R1 district.
Second.
We have a motion for approval and a second in case 48-2023. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. You'll be officially notified in writing by the city. The next case is by Mr. Black also, case 49-2023. John Black, owner, requests for a fence height exception in accordance with LDO section 16-4-9.4 in an R1 district for a property commonly known as 12916 Howell Drive. The staff have a report, please.
The applicant needs to replace an aging 4-foot-tall fence that was constructed in 2000. He would like to replace it with a 6-foot-tall privacy fence.
Questions for staff? Mr. Black, would you like to give us your, again, you got to give us your name and address.
Yeah, John Black, 12916 Howell Drive. I don't know if I said this before or not, but I think I did. But 3 of the 4 neighbors to the north have a 6-foot fence, and I believe only one of them has a pool. So exceptions have been granted, and so this would just continue with the consistency of my neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Is anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this application? If not, then is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move case number 49-2023 at 12916 Howe Drive, request for a fence height exception in accordance with the LDO section 16-4-9.4 in an R1 district.
That was motion for approval, right?
Correct. Yeah, what did I say? Deny? No, it's to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval in case 49-2023 and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. You'll be officially notified in writing by the city. The next case for this evening is case 50-2023. Elena Koch, owner. This is a request for a variance to the build line for the placement of a fence on a through lot in accordance with LDO 16-4-9.3D in an R1 district for a property commonly known as 2003 West 91st Street. The staff have a report, please.
The applicant would like to replace a legal, non-conforming chain link fence. The fence has been in place for several decades. A variance for 10 feet is requested to replace the fence 25 feet from the east property line.
Are there questions for staff?
Mr. Chairman, Wade, is this going to be a 6-foot fence since there's a pool?
It will, but they have a swimming pool, so they don't have to have the exception. And in this case, let me put another picture up. That's a picture of the lot from State Line. It's so heavily wooded that the fence isn't even visible from the street.
I just state, I don't know the details of this, Mr. Chairman, but I do recall that when State Line was widened, the 2 neighbors that are at the end of 91st Street that have this as their backyards were assured of certain considerations to keep the noise down and traffic down from State Line Road, and I think having a 6-foot fence probably was one of those, but I don't know that for certain, but I do know that when State Line was widened, they were accommodated somewhat. I don't know if that had to do with the approval or not initially.
But this fence would be within the growth, the trees, behind the trees.
Way behind the trees, yeah. The house is actually having some construction done right now. I don't know if you guys drove back into that little cul-de-sac, but it's such a strange lot. And like I said, it backs up to State Line Road, directly to the east. The fence isn't visible at all from the street, and maybe a little bit from 91st Street.
Okay. Other questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Please give us your name and address and present your case.
My name's Elena Cook. My address is 2003 West 91st Street. And as you can see in the picture, it's a heavily wooded area. It's also very steep, and so we're wanting that 6-foot fence because we have 2 small children. And also in that back corner, it's probably the most flat of the area, and so we'd like to put a play place back there. And so if we were to move it in with the ordinance, we wouldn't have room to do that. And so we're just wanting to replace a very old chain link fence with a new wooden fence.
So presumably, if you had to move 35 feet, that would,
Yeah, that would really cut into
it might get into your pool there.
Yes.
I'm guessing that's the case. Are there questions for the applicant?
This new fence would be in the same place as the current chain link fence?
Yeah, the exact same spot. So the trees have been cleared, and so it would just be a straight line where the black line is.
And it'd be a 6-foot wood fence?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there questions for the applicant? Thank you. Is anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this application? Please give us your name and address.
My name is Bill Swift, at 2007 West 91st Street. I'm next door neighbor, and I basically came to say I don't have any objections at all. I think they really need this fence. You can see with little children coming and going and being right up against State Line Road like that. The fence doesn't affect me. I'm the next house to the west, but I do think this is a good idea. They need to do this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Well, this is a variance, so we have to go through the 5 factors again. And the first is uniqueness of the property.
Well, Mr. Chairman, once again, we're talking about replacing a fence at a location that was legal initially. We've also got the fact that just viewing this picture, I don't know many people who have backyards that look like that, or a street quite as busy as State Line right down the hill from their backyard. So I think it qualifies.
Other comments? All those who feel that the uniqueness criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Second factor is rights of adjacent property owners. One property owner was here and he was supportive of it, and I presume all the cards went out?
Yes, sir. No calls or complaints.
Okay.
And Wade, I believe the neighbors north of them already have a fence there. Is that correct?
No, yes, they do. Yep.
Okay. All those who feel that the rights of adjacent property owners criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. We have voted in the affirmative on the second factor. Third is hardship.
Mr. Chairman, once again, this being legal non-conforming and has been there for such a long time, and if they had to put the fence with the in the spot, it looks like it'd be going through the swimming pool, so I feel that the hardship's been met.
Other comments? All those who feel that the hardship criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. We agreed on the third factor, and the fourth is public safety and general welfare.
Well, generally speaking, I think public safety and general welfare is served by improving existing fences rather than leaving up ones that are in bad shape.
Especially when you've got a very busy street behind them.
Exactly.
All those who feel that the fourth factor, public safety and general welfare criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We voted in the affirmative on the fourth factor. And last is spirit and intent.
Mr.
Comments from
Chairman,
the board?
I'll speak on spirit and intent. The property actually has a very wooded landscape against the street line. It has a unique character to the neighborhood in Leawood. Adding the fence behind that would not change the spirit and intent of the neighborhood.
Others who feel that the spirit and intent criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We've evaluated all 5 factors and supported each one. Therefore, we can support a motion for approval in this case.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve case 50-2023, 2003 West 91st Street, request for a variance to the build line for the placement of a fence on a through lot in accordance with the LDO section 16-4-9.3 D in parens in an R-1 district.
We have a motion for approval in case 50-2023. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. You'll be officially notified in writing by the city. The next 2 cases are for the same lot. First case is case 51-2023. This is at 7951 High Drive, a request for a variance to the side yard setback in accordance with LDO section 16-2-5.3D in an R1 district. The staff have a report, please.
The applicant would like to construct a new garage extension on the northeast side of the home. The new structure would be placed 11.3 feet from the northern property line. A variance for 2.9 feet is needed to construct the addition as shown on the plan.
Is it true that that green piece of that triangle is not in Leawood?
Correct, that's in Prairie Village.
I tried to look that up on the Ames map and I couldn't find any information on it.
Yeah, the driveway entrance is also in Prairie Village.
Well, this one stumped me a bit, Wade, because it states that no action would be required if it weren't in 2 cities. Can you explain that one to me?
Because there is a property line, because that little triangle is in Prairie Village, it's one lot, but it does have a property line. So if that property line was not there, neither of the cases would go before you.
And if it was all in Leawood, there'd be no property line there.
Correct.
I got it. Thank you. Interesting. Interesting case.
It should meet the uniqueness.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to evaluate that. Any other questions for staff?
Wade, this area up there in Old Leawood, North Leawood, has some kind of historic designation to it, does it not?
It wouldn't be grandfathered for anything. Yeah, it is historic, you're correct.
But that has no impact on this
Correct.
discussion here. Okay, thank you.
Other questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Please give us your name and address.
Jeffrey Valentino, 7951 High Drive, Leawood, Kansas 66206. Nothing particular to add. It's quite unique, and so just trying to resolve, again, a conforming plan if this property line wasn't in a specific location. So worked with Wade and Mitch, Mitch from Prairie Village, and felt this was the correct path, that we still wanted to document what we were trying to do just because of how unique the situation is.
Did you know that you're in two cities?
I did. I actually almost, well, when we were purchasing it, almost got nervous that it was some kind of odd easement and that I was in for a real pickle, but we did know, when we purchased it, the oddity. But yeah, it's I think even Mitch from Prairie Village was kind of scratching his head on this one as well. It's maybe something to do with when Somerset, I know back in the 80s, there was a lot of rework, so some kind of odd hangover of past construction.
So you don't own the driveway, you just have a,
No, we do. We do own it. We own both parcels. It is a Prairie Village parcel, and it is a Leawood parcel that the actual
you
house
have
is
to pay
on.
taxes in.
I do.
In
I do.
Prairie Village?
Oh, my God.
Luckily, it's only like $100 for the Prairie Village one. It's non-buildable, so it's just for the driveway access.
Wow. Well, I think we understand the situation. So you need a variance here,
Yes.
and then the next one, it's square footage, right? So
Yeah,
we'll-
yeah, in both cases, when considering the true lot as a whole, they're conforming.
I don't suppose it'd be possible to address both variances with the same, we have to treat them each
You could talk about both, but you'd have to vote.
separately?
You'd have to have two votes, yeah.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, any other questions for the applicant? Then let's go through the 5 factors then. The first is uniqueness of the property.
Mr. Chairman, we have not seen too many properties that are in two cities, so that makes it unique.
All those who feel the uniqueness criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Rights of adjacent property owners. Every cards went out, right?
Yes, sir. And no complaints. I did have a few call about information about it, but once I explained, they had the same reaction that you did. They didn't know that little piece was in Prairie Village, so they totally understood.
Okay, all right. All those who feel that the second factor, rights of adjacent property owners criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We voted in the affirmative on the second factor. And hardship is the third factor.
Mr. Chairman, I think that the hardship's been met because of the property line being there because of Prairie Village. If it wasn't Prairie Village, it wouldn't be there, so this wouldn't be an issue. So I feel the hardship's been met.
Other comments? All those who feel the hardship criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. The fourth factor is public safety and general welfare.
Mr. Chairman, I'll speak on this. This actually improves the public safety and general welfare. It's replacing a legal non-conforming shed with the updated newer structure, which would not be, it looks like from the plan it's attached, so.
Oh, yeah.
With a breezeway pergola, so it's an improvement.
So there was a shed there?
There is currently a shed.
Oh, there, okay, all right.
You can see it in
All
the
those who feel, I
in
see.
white.
Yeah. All those who feel that the fourth factor, public safety and general welfare criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the last is spirit and intent. Comments by the board?
Well, I've got to say that replacing a freestanding structure with one that's attached seems to be getting closer to the spirit and intent of our ordinances.
All those who feel that the spirit and intent criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. We have voted in the affirmative on all 5 factors, therefore we can support a motion for approval in this case.
I move to approve case 51-2023-7951 High Drive, a request for a variance to the side yard setback in accordance with the LDO section 16-2-5.3 parent D, parent in an R1 district.
Second.
We have a motion for approval in case 51-2023 and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. You'll be officially notified in writing by the city. And the next case is yours also. This is case 52-2023. Jeffrey Valentino, owner, requests for a variance to the maximum square footage for an architecturally attached structure to exceed the 2% of the lot size in accordance with LDO section 16-4-1.2C2 in an R1 district for a property commonly known as 7951 High Drive. Staff have a report, please.
The applicant wants to construct a new garage addition that will exceed the maximum allowable 2% of the lot size. A variance for 64 square feet is needed to construct the addition as shown on the plan. He's permitted to have 281 square feet, 345 is what's been proposed, and that's where the 64 square feet comes in.
So that requirement is strictly for a architecturally attached structure.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, if that little triangle was in Leawood, they wouldn't be before you.
Right. The lot would be big enough to account for the overage, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And it is architecturally attached because there's like a breezeway that attaches from the house over to the garage, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Questions for staff? Would you like to present this case too?
Jeffrey Valentino, 7951 High Drive. No additional comments, same as last variance.
Okay. Is anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this application? In that case, we will evaluate the 5 factors. Uniqueness of the property.
In 2 cities.
The lot is in 2 cities, and correct. Other comments? All those who feel the uniqueness criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We voted in the affirmative on that first factor. Rights of adjacent property owners. Again, you've had a few calls and.
Correct. Yeah, no complaints.
Okay. In that case, all those who feel that the rights of adjacent property owner criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. That factor passes. And the third is hardship.
Mr. Chairman, same as the last one, with the property line for being there because of the lot being part of Prairie Village. If it wasn't there, this wouldn't be an issue, so I feel the hardship's been met.
They'd have to modify the design probably significantly to get it to work. So all those who feel that the hardship criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And last is the fourth is public safety and general welfare.
Well, I think replacing a legal non-conforming shed with an updated attached garage sounds like a better idea to me.
All those who feel that the public safety and general welfare criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We voted in the affirmative on the fourth factor, and last is spirit and intent.
Mr. Chairman, I think removing a non-conforming structure actually enhances the spirit and intent of this request. More than satisfies it.
Other comments? All those who feel that the spirit and intent criterion has been satisfied, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We have voted in the affirmative on all 5 factors, therefore we can support a motion for approval in this case.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve case number 52-2023 at 7951 High Drive, request for a variance to the maximum square footage of an architecturally attached structure to exceed the 2% of lot size in accordance with the LDO Section 16-4-1.2C2 in an R1 district.
Second. We have a motion for approval and second in case 52-2023. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion passes. You'll be officially notified in writing to the city. That is our last case for this evening. Do you have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
We stand adjourned. Thank you.